we've got Dreamfire playing a Bangalore composition. So, you know, if you were saying, hey, maybe Dreamfire need to change it up, well, guess what? They have. They're playing Bangalore Crypto Seer. We've got... There's a Fuse. SRY are playing Horizon Valkyrie Fuse. This is one of the most, like for the first couple of weeks, Xenox, there was not a lot of change. We saw a lot of Watson. We saw a lot of Valkyrie and a lot of Seer paired up with that, sometimes swapping out the Seer for the Newcastle, right? That was kind of the play. We saw the hints of Rampart coming into work last week. And guess what? She's back. Kizik's back on the Rampart here. Why not? They got 2 games out of 3 on World's Edge. They won with that Rampart, so that makes sense. But the other teams aren't slowing down. They are not slowing down at all at the change of pace here. This is honestly nuts. Hermagerd, they've got a Wraith on the... I mean, yeah, there are so many changes, it's hard to even list them all right now. This is so exciting.
Yeah, and obviously the crypto is quite prevalent here too, right? Coming out and probably replacing the Seer in that role with the Watson and the Valkyrie. Pretty evident that, I mean, I don't want to do the maths live here, but there's actually quite a few teams that have actually elected. In fact, there's even one that is running crypto and Seer. So talk about a lot of information that could really be gained there. You know, when you think about what those two sort of bring to the table in terms of information, being able to play off of that, and like in any battle royale, and you can get intel and you can play off of that intel, you are already ahead really of all the other teams around you. So it's an interesting concept. I do wonder how's that going to work defensively. You don't have the Watson, you don't have those fences. Are you a little bit vulnerable? So do you adjust the way that you play by running a double intel comp?
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess one of the things we've talked about a lot with, I wouldn't say like a lack of crypto, but not a huge amount of crypto so far in Apex South so far this season, Xenox, is a lot of these late circles, right? You just don't get that info. And that's where crypto really comes into his own, is you can plan those sort of like zone 3, zone 4, zone 5 rotations, because you might actually be able to get a scan on a beacon if there is one in range. There's not always. But if there is one in range, you will get that scan off and you will have that information over the other teams, because even if they've got a recon character, and I say even, like, you know, obviously most teams do have recon characters, they won't be able to get a scan safely, especially now that Gibraltar and the dome protection is gone.
Yeah, and look, obviously, I think it's still fine to try it out, as we see some early engagement, but I wonder, does it backfire in the late game? In the early game, and maybe also towards the mid game, when you want that intel, you're rotating, you're moving with the ring, you're trying to play for these positions, having that double intel information can certainly help, as Dreamfire actually chasing down Tilted Winnie and Rail. They will potentially get away through the geyser, but Roy actually getting really aggressive here, and I think that's probably what you want out of Dreamfire, especially with this kind of lineup. You have to be aggressive. You have to chase down teams.
And it's what we wanted to see from them, right? It's exactly the kind of thing we were hoping to get out of Dreamfire at that point in the season now, where they, you know, their previous style of play was not getting them to land, and that's what's important. So they're changing it up. This is exactly what I wanted to see. I believe that this plays to their strengths, and I'm hoping to see that belief sort of borne out today. And you can see they are coming in hot there. They've taken the balloons. They're really trying to get up into RTL's grill, and Railed has actually taken the Skyward Dive out by himself, leaving Winnie alone. I'm not sure if they know she's there. They've worked it out. They've actually split up, so they've gone for the double rat strat, Xenox.
The interesting thing for me, though, is it brings back to the conversation about sort of playing a certain way, and there's just absolutely no way that Winnie's going to be able to get out of there alive, left alone basically to die, is when I look at this playstyle from Dreamfire, and I think, can this stack up internationally? And I'm not too sure, but I think, can it work in Apac? Can it work here? Yeah, definitely. And if you need the points, it's like, forget about playing a certain way internationally. If you're not there, you can't play that way anyway. Right, so it seems to me, bring out a more aggressive style, look to probably play maybe towards edge with this kind of stuff, pick up those kill points, and win the lobby through that fashion. It might be the recipe for success that Dreamfire need. Is it something that's going to work, say, for the longevity of this roster and the way they want to play in the long term? Maybe not. But is it going to work now? Day 4 for Split 1, where they need the points, where they need to get into the top 4? Yeah, potentially. So I don't mind that, and I think it's probably the right way to be thinking.
I think it does have the chance to work, you know, that far in. I mean, if you just remember, Furia came second with an aggressive play style in Rally in the very final lobby. It's obviously doable. It's obviously something that you can win and take championships with if you're good enough at it. And Dreamfire are one of the best at it in the world.
Yeah, and look, obviously, they would probably want to back themselves in. I'm a little bit more realistic. I've seen enough Apac. You know, obviously in Apex, there's a lot of success from the Apex South region, but I think generally speaking, it's still going to be quite difficult to pull off that kind of play style against the best in the world. And we'll see. Maybe it might work, but now it has to work here. It has to work in this region. And we do have a little bit of information as to sort of where this game is pulling up towards the north epicenter side. A lot of teams already congested in that area as well. So it might not actually be the game that for Dreamfire they would have liked, because it's not going to be all that open. It is going to be very congested towards the north side. It may just lock things up.
Yeah, we haven't been able to talk about this stuff all that much yet, as we're seeing a little bit of a fight go down here. Not sure if they're going to fully engage here. You can see that's DNZ versus MDY. Down at North Sighton. But in fact, the ring is pulling up further north, and we're getting teams congregating around both Survey Camp and the North Respawn Beacon, the North Tunnels. So that's where the ring's pulling. That's certainly where these teams are reading that it's going. Buriram a little bit further south. They're sitting on the train tunnel beacon. So if we do get a southern shift, they're going to be pretty happy, and they'll have the early info about that as well. They're going to take a scan soon. Meanwhile, some of these more southern rotations, you're seeing SRY pull out from further down. They obviously hurt MDY on their tail. MDY is going to be a little bit sad. No KP for them as they get out safely. Yes, they do. All the way into Geyser. It'll be a bit of a scuff rotate. And unfortunately, I think Team Op have actually noticed this, so they're pulling around to the Geyser choke as well, as you can see here, and they're going to try and cut off this rotation. Good read from the Chinese squad.
And you can see that map now for the first time as well, how far north we are actually heading up, and a lot of teams already down there, but it's to the south, where I think those teams rotating in quite late, at the very least, compared to obviously those up north. How are they going to make their way in? What can they realistically get? I think it's going to end up being a situation where, because there's not a lot of room to actually rotate on the left and right sides of this kind of circle, you just push straight in, hold the south, hope for a bit of a southern shift. Might be the best that you can hope for. You know, the sort of northern side of Fragment West is still in. A lot of those buildings are still in, so if they can hope for this ring to pull down towards the south side, should be still fine. Otherwise, coming in late, if this does keep going north, and if it does keep sort of heading over towards Survey Camp, those teams that are coming in late towards the south, probably not going to be able to get that kind of hard compound that's going to be playable. They're going to have to play the edge, play for kills, and hope that that can get them some success.
Yeah, I mean, one of the northern circles, it could be the one on the train tracks. It looks like it is pulling away from that the respawn beacon, but it still could be on the rail cars that are sort of a bit further east to that. That said, if you're stuck in those buildings within Survey Camp, you're still probably going to be good for another couple of rings, and you do get a lot of opportunity to try and snipe out teams that have to play for less favorable positions. You know, they've got to try and stick on the rocks, those ones to the north of Survey Camp, that kind of stuff. So they could be good for a little while longer. Now, that said, it seems like every week we go, more and more teams starting to play a bit more aggressive, a bit more edge, and that means to a good at this, teams like 2M and K1 Pad are going to be more successful as they are about to actually run into their brother-sister team in MDY.
That is an absolutely awesome name, though. I absolutely love that. 2MK1 Pad. Absolutely perfect. But yeah, I mean, look, these teams towards Epicenter now, there's a couple starting to congregate. I do wonder if that's going to really kick off over the next couple of minutes or so, because those in and around Survey Camp have basically already set up shop. Fences are out, buildings are occupied. Probably not expected to see a whole lot of action actually towards that area, but you know, the southern side, Epicenter, those are kind of still some of the gateways, some of the entry points into this next zone. So, you know, you're seeing that now with 2MK, 1 Pad. What they're sort of scouting for are those teams coming in, pushing in. Can they sort of gatekeep a little bit here, get a couple of kills for themselves?
Yeah, not been too successful so far. It looks like they've gone too far north to grab SRY, unfortunately. So they're going to be taking a balloon and pulling over the top of Stinky B. We've noticed them, actually. So do have the potential for them to push up and try and make something happen there. If Sticky B would... I think they might be launch site these days. Could potentially be Dome. I'll have to double check that next game. But because they've had to make, it's essentially like a full, they start full south, they've had to go full north for the rotation. They really didn't have much option other than to play edge. It's just one of the disadvantages, one of the downsides of playing a POI that is so far away from some parts of the map.
AMK with that rotation for the blue have actually just pushed straight into Ant Esports. So unfortunately, they've been met with some aggression back the other way as soon as they make their way in towards the server, but in circle, I should say. But they've actually done all right here. Xiao Kai healing up and gets back to full armor, and they can actually push on this now. They did get some damage back onto Ant, got them quite low. I don't think there was any real cracks or anything, but they've gone straight back into their building, which is obviously going to be fenced up. And this is now where you start to question these kind of compositions where you've got the C, you've got the crypto. This is where you've got to be aggressive. You're not holding out. You're the ones that are pushing in.
Oh, you can see Protocol committed. They definitely are being aggressive. You put that next to the door. It destroys the door, allows you to start getting some grenades in there. And, of course, you can't set up with a pylon necessarily because if you've got the EMP available, that should be able to take it down already. I guess unless you have the second one ready to go. But either way, you can see Team Op looking poised to try and take down Ant Esports.
Doing all right, just holding them out at the moment, making sure that they just can't get out for free. But Aimbot making a lot of damage along with Billy, so not really going as well as they would hope for. I mean, yeah, they got a couple of cracks. They've got Ant low, but they're holding out well. Defense doing their job. Good shots back. Arcstar thrown out, forcing out the backside, which is not being covered. But finally down is going to go the way of MK. In fact, so much so that's going to be Ant wiped out. So in the end, aggression pays dividends and really well done to sort of corral them and just almost sort of chokehold them in that building. The Watson fences just couldn't hold out for much longer, and in the end, you can see what that aggression can look like when you've got this kind of setup, and it works out really well.
Yeah, and it wasn't unbridled aggression, was it? It was actually quite methodical. As you said, they penned them in and just sort of worked them back until they had nowhere to run. So a good start to the series here for Team Op. One squad taken down. Looks like Dreamfire have picked up a couple more kills in the meantime. They've got 4 to themselves, and they're about to run into Truth on the western side of the map, coming in through Skyhook. You can see, though, Truth pretty well set up. And other teams like Primus Commander a little further down. Some of those teams who, didn't guess on Survey Camp, or at least didn't set up there, are going to have to be working their way up through the train tunnels, or perhaps even across the fields to the south of Survey Camp, which might be a little bit more deadly. Dreamfire trying to work out if this is even a workable situation for them. Can they get through here? Are there too many fences? Is this just a little bit too tough? They do have a crypto, right? They've got Pete, so if they want, they can use that EMP. It's actually at 85%, so then maybe they're just waiting for that Xenos.
Oh, Manuel under the pump at the moment. Struggling. Asia already down. Might be ball to follow. That one coming from MDY. Just sort of holding them out here. Mayflow does eventually go down. DY, of course, have to play and push with the zone as well, but it's free damage, free pressure, really nothing going back the other way. They're just doing their job of trying to gatekeep a little bit. No one really too close to them. Mainly over towards the train tracks. You've got one team close by. That's about it in PK. Other than that, it's a pretty free spot for MDY, but they do have to keep going up north. DNZ eliminated. 14 squads remaining, and heavily congested up north still.
That said, we had a wild westward swing of the ring here, Xenox. So Dreamfire and Truth, their fight over this tunnel, and we've just seen that EMP come in over that side, will actually be quite important.
Shots out still, Yuling. Really to come from it. I mean, it's not easy shots to land, but they're feeling like they've got 20th guaranteed pinned down. You got Moist Esports in and around that area as well, so suddenly you have to question, can you really even push on that? Then you're getting really backfilled as well by PK.
Because Moist they've sort of put down a defensive Seer ultimate here, so they're kind of happy with their position. They're not really looking to push off it, but they have placed it so that both 20th Guaranteed and MDY, who are on the outside of them, were dissuaded from pushing in against Moist there. It felt like that would have been an easy position to be third-partied in, so I like the heads-up play to just sit tight, but trying to use their utility there to make this a position that they're not going to lose and go out too early in.
And MDY, I think, smart turning around, dealing with PK. Had they continued to push forward, they would have been completely backfilled on, and they would have been honestly pinched as well, stuck between a couple of teams. Taking the right fight here. Knowing that PK would have pushed out, hold that entrance to the train tracks. As so, fully cracked, has to go back, pop the bat.
Okay, MDY down on the southern side here. They're going to try and make it up. As you can see, zone closing in soon. While this is all happening, Dreamfire did win that engagement. It was just Roy on the Bangalore who clutched it out there in the tunnel. So now they have essentially that whole tunnel to themselves, and they're probably going to get some company very soon. These teams, teams like Team Op, who are trying to take fights here on the edge. They're, they truly are on the edge here, Xenox. They barely had time to get out of this one. It could have been ugly.
Yeah, certainly. Moist, though, losing Empty and Waltzy, so only Pricey left. I think MDY really played this well. Push coming from aimbot. Billy has to stop that bat and start shooting. Shaq knocked. Don't think he's going to be able to get back up here either. Probably down for the count. So aimbot and Billy, last two here for M and K. And no, they are just met. The firing squad. So they're gone. 9 squads remaining as we head into the 5th round. Turn our attention, obviously, towards the train tracks here. Roy, low, managed to pop that bat, though. Get back up, full armor.
Previous Commander inevitably having to come up through north, through the chain tunnel here. Of course, we're going to run into Dreamfire, who are extremely low. Pete is the first one to go down, but at least they don't go down completely. They will be able to get the res there and move back up. 20th Guaranteed. There's 2 of them just to the north here. Have heard some of this fight, but they're not pushing in too hard, Xenox. They could actually pick up some kills if they had to, but it's hard to tell for them. They don't realize there's only 2 members left. There were only 2 members up for Dreamfire, so they don't press the issue. Unfortunately for them, that means they're going to start taking a lot of damage from the back now. It's MDY. You can see they're going to get sandwiched very soon, I would say, and it's Trent to try and make it all the way up by himself. That's it. The position just to the north of here that we're looking at with MDY, that's where Dewa are. They've been playing the north this whole time, and it's going to be, I'd say that's probably going to be Godspot.
Yeah, obviously we've been seeing a lot of MDY playing south, pushing in with the circle, playing that edge, getting in all of these fights. But you think about Daewoo, you think about Buriram. These teams have been able to sort of play that survey camp position, play these buildings, play up north. They haven't really had to do as much fighting, especially compared to MDY. Obviously, though, MDY now in a position where they can just fully gatekeep the rest of Dreamfire here. So how does Dreamfire get out of this? Bangalore may just actually help them quite significantly.
Well, Pete just wasted a bunch of time trying to chase Trent down. He managed to hide at the edge of the ring, had to keep going. They're going to pop the EMP here to try and get out, but MDY is in between them and safety. Ems
pushes forward, along with Roy now, the Bangalore. We saw the smoke go out, did at least buy them some time to push forward, try and cover some ground. Done well, MDY completely wiped. Really good push from Dreamfire. Roy has to get revived. I don't know if they've really got the time to do so. You've still got Trent hanging around the area. They are aware of it too.
Golden Knockdown Shield will help them make that reset though, Xenox. Skynade's coming in. They've got to contend with them. This is where the Bangalore smokes start to come in well. Trent just below their position. You can see he's happy for the smoke. It means they can't see him and he can't see them as well. He's happy with that trade-off. 7 squads now left alive, and Dreamfire are sitting at 13 kills, Xenox. All of a sudden, the Dreamfire of old, they're back.
Trent was just sitting below with the bow check, just trying to see if he can get someone from Dreamfire off guard. Not going to happen. Roy just peeks over. 3 kills, 20th guaranteed gone. 6 squads remaining. And Dreamfire, of course, just happy to rack up the kills. They've been moving and shaking basically since the very start of the game. Seeing them with their aggression, just pushing, trying to take these fights, playing out towards the western side. Now they start to make their way over to these teams that have just been happy to sit in these buildings.
So teams starting to collapse here on Survey Camp. Dreamfire 13, not enough. They want more. They're going to push into this building where we can see Hermagerd are set up, but they're coming up against a lot of red armors on Dreamfire, who have obviously done a ridiculous amount of damage so far this game, and they're looking to do more. Roy, Pete, Ems is on the ground. They're going to go for a quick shield swap. Roy back down to blue just to try and make this happen. Will they let them get this res off? Surely not. The passive heals from the pylon are coming up, but Roy is waiting on the outside here with his reticle trained on them.
You've got the bat pushing out, Smoke actually helping them out momentarily, but not going to be enough. Dreamfire collecting more kills here. So thoughts remaining, stay with United, just got eliminated as well. So this could actually end up being the kind of game where Dreamfire are able to just sort of wipe lobby plus get a win. Even if they don't get the win from here, still top 3. A lot of points being gained. What a way to start their day. Viram United have been sitting patiently up north in these buildings. Time for them to push out as well. And in the end, it's Viram United that do take the win, opening win. But honestly, all of the talking and conversation is going to be about Dreamfire off this game.
I would be surprised if they come out with the top score out of this game, Xenox. I think, in fact, they almost certainly will with a 3rd spot. That's 7 placement points, and not sure exactly how many kills they ended up on with.